Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Drop. I'm your host, Dan Matha, and we got the main man in the house, Austin Theory. Yo, 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 what up, big dog?
What's going on, man? First time on The Drop. I'm super excited for this.
So, you're the first guest on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
I just found this out.
Guest number one.
That's so awesome. All day.
Hey, man, I wouldn't want it. This, honestly, I couldn't really think of anybody else I'd rather have on my show for the very first time.
Appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. Dude, I feel like since this quarantine, I haven't seen you. We've been together like every day for the past, 6 months, 8 months, something like that.
Yeah.
Working together,
Yeah.
class, training, lifting, wrestling, traveling the world.
Yep. I feel like I haven't seen anybody. I haven't even seen the world. Everything's very closed at the moment. Just everywhere.
I know, it's nuts right now.
Yeah.
Unprecedented times.
Yeah, it's just rough.
What do you think is going on right now, man?
Really, I don't know. And part of me, I kind of, wonder to myself, is a lot of it as bad as they say it is, or is it just being, shown and presented worse, or is it really this bad?
Yeah, I think the craziest part, because like I got a couple theories. I got a couple theories, you know what I mean? Pun intended. I got a couple theories of what's going on here. But I think the most important thing to think about right now is the fact that nobody actually knows who to believe. And I think that we should be very fearful of that in this country, considering that the United States of America is a republic, a free nation. And the backbone of a republic or a democracy is the media and the free flow of information. And the second that is jeopardized, the integrity of the democracy, the republic, is now, out the window.
Right.
And that is what should be very fearful for all the people.
Yeah.
In terms of the virus itself, I think I'm on the far side of the spectrum of like not really giving a crap about it, because I look at it like this. One, if you look at the death rate, it's below, like it's a fraction of a percent. It's super low. Now, don't get me wrong. Any life that is lost is a tragedy. You know what I mean? When somebody dies, loved ones are hurt. There's like a void and a loss that's taken place in this lifetime. But it's not the first virus, that has come along. Viruses are kind of a part of not humans. Humans have dealt with them since the beginning of humans, but like in the animal kingdom, you know what I mean? That big circle of life that Mufasa talked about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like viruses are there.
They're there. And
human beings who, for whatever reason, their arrogance and ignorance kicks in, and they think that circle, they're outside of that circle of life.
Right.
And the truth is that we aren't outside of it, no matter what illusion, you know what I mean, that you believe that we're outside of there. We're not. We're a part of it. So another thing that bothers me, the fact that you think you could stop something like this, you know what I mean, is honestly preposterous.
Yeah.
Now definitely we should be trying to do whatever we can. We should definitely be working towards a vaccine. We should definitely be looking to the people that are at high risk, people with pre-existing health conditions, the elderly, those people. We should be looking out for them, right? Yeah. We should be trying to do what we can. But to shut down the whole damn world over a virus, I don't know if we're really understanding what the repercussions of the economy tanking, essentially, and it, as bad as it is now, it's only going to get worse. I don't think that we're really preparing for that. That's about to be some serious shit. I know a lot of people at home, a lot of friends, everyday people have lost their jobs, been evicted out of their places already.
Yep.
It's going to hit a lot of people. Unemployment is super high right now, and it's only going to get higher. The businesses that are still out there, that are still operating, that are on the fringe, that are holding on by a thread, like what's going to happen when they go under later,
Yeah.
And like, it's just it's a very scary time. And I think that more people need to think about that than anything else.
Right.
And we've let the media kind of put us in this like fearful state, let us go back to our like primitive monkey brains where we're like taking all this damn toilet paper and buying more food and supplies than what is even necessary.
Yeah.
And kind of like, forgetting that it's important that, you don't need to buy 7 packs of eggs, or chicken, you know what I mean? Just buy what you need for the week.
Exactly.
Like food ain't going anywhere.
Yep.
It's just we got to stay inside and stay distant.
Yeah. And then everybody would have what they need,
Keep this thing a little bit closer, bro.
Yeah. It's what's crazy to me is how fast everything got shut down. Like I feel like there wasn't too many like decisions into that. It was just like, this is what's happening. Next day, it's closed. Next day, this place is closed everywhere. And it just kind of became this, dice falling and creating a trail. And now, like you said, like there's a lot of people there's a lot of bad, circumstances from this for, people that are out of a job, and there's no income coming in. And that's very hard, especially in America, money is very important here to be able to get by in just day-to-day society. So it's a very hard hit.
Yeah. It, oh man, it just makes me frustrated too with the leadership. I think more than anything, we should be mad at our leadership because I think that they have failed us, I know that they have failed us. I don't just think that I look at it, I'm just like, man, you guys failed us on so many levels. And like, I'm not just talking about at the top, I'm not just talking about Trump, right? I'm talking about from a federal level to a state level, like the World Health Organization. Just in like February, they were telling people not to worry about this and that it's not contagious from person to person.
Yeah.
Like there was, Comio, the governor of New York was saying the same thing. And same thing with the guy out in LA, like all these different, politicians, leaders that we had appointed to lead the civilians, us everyday people.
Yeah.
They just weren't very prepared for this. And that frustrates me more than anything, because it's like this. I know it's a tough job. Don't get me wrong. I understand your job is tough, but that's why you took the job. Like, that's why we appointed you. That's why you get elevated into a position of leadership, because you've got to make tough decisions. You've got to make the hard choices. You've got to have that foresight to see what's coming down the pipe before we do, because your job as a civil servant is to protect the people, and you have failed that dearly,
Right. So I guess, well, let me ask you, like, what are the positives you see out of this? A lot of us look at the negatives, of everything being shut down, but, what do you see as positives to this? Obviously, like, to stop the spread, but are there any more positives to, things being shut down and the whole social distancing thing? Like, do you see any positives?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's always a silver lining in any crappy situation, dude, Mm-hmm. I think if anything, you see everybody online right now talking about this is a time to like look inward and self-reflect and skill build and read books and write things and do those things that you never did. It's a little overplayed because everybody's doing it, but the message itself is still a sound message.
Yeah.
And I think it's the first time that anybody has been able to just kind of be. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have anywhere to be. There's no stress of being somewhere on time or getting to work or meeting up with friends. It's like you wake up in the morning and you just wake up.
That's it.
And you wake up when you want to.
Yep.
And you get out of bed when you want to, and you roll into the different things that you want to do throughout the day. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're a mom or a dad out there, you got some rugrats running around and shit, you know what I mean? You got to deal with that, but that ain't my problem because I'm single, you know what I mean? I got no babies out there.
Hopefully not.
But even then, if you are a mom or a dad, right, you get to spend, like, think about it. You're at work, kids at school, when do you ever get this much alone time or one-on-one time with your family? Mm-hmm. So, I
mean, life's fast, You know, it's very fast and it's very.
Who you telling, bro?
I feel like it's. I know I speak like I'm like 49. Life's fast, man, and all you guys just got to get where you can. No, but
it's wise. 20. What are you? 21?
22.
22.
Yeah.
So what are you doing right now during this quarantine to stay in shape?
I mean, obviously,
because I know you're missing the iron, bro.
Oh,
because I'm missing, I'm fiending. Let me get a barbell.
It hurts, man, and it's crazy to see. I mean, I am one of those that have looked online trying to find equipment for cheap, and some people get rid of it for cheap, but they know what they're doing now. It's not cheap anymore. We're raising the prices because we know how bad people want it. But I got 2 dumbbells at home. 2 20-pound dumbbells, and I got 2 45 plates, and I try to just, I mean, you can do a lot with that if you use your mind
absolutely
to it, but it's hard. It's not the, it's not the same feeling because I feel like I'm having to do way more to try to get the same feel as in the gym, but even though I'm doing way more, it's still not the same, like being there it's way different, but I definitely miss that. That's I get like, now we're slowing down and we can focus on what we do have and stuff, but you took the gym away from me, man.
God damn it.
It's hurting, man.
Fiending.
It's hurting.
Fiending.
It's tough, man.
I need my fix.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
Yeah, dude, I feel you with that. I'm lifting right now with, I got this parking garage next to my apartment complex, and it's like 8 stories. So one of the things I'll do is I'll run them stairs, you know, and yeah, that'll get you going. Yeah. Now I'll change, based on whatever workout I'm trying to kind of emphasize, body parts I'm trying to emphasize. Maybe I'll do more of an explosive type workout. So I'll be sprinting those stairs, really trying to get my heart rate up and more of a cardio workout.
Yeah.
And then when I get to the top of the stairs, I've got a bunch of bands. I've got like the red minis, the black minis. I got the band, the big green ones. I got a couple of those. So I got a couple different resistant bands that have come in handy. I got this 15-pound kettlebell over there in the corner that's kind of come in handy.
Okay.
But I've just been really working and focusing on increasing my GPP, my general physical preparedness, which is some people, don't ever build their GPP ever. And other people, you build it and then you get into the weights and you kind of neglect it a little bit and it kind of goes to the wayside. But I remember having one of my strength coaches tell me when I was younger that like nobody has the right to start lifting right away. Like you got to get in shape before you're even allowed to start working out. And you should be able to, run a mile. And, in a good amount of time, you should be able to do 33 push-ups, 33 body, 3 minutes wall sits, pull-ups, you should be able to do all the things with your, all these body weight movements, you should have those things mastered. Your cardiovascular system, like all of those things, anything that you can do right now, like in a field, in a garage with some bands, running, jumping, like all of those things, you should be focusing on those right now. Because then the gym, everything's like things are coming back. Gym's going to open back up. You're going to get in there. You're going to get back into the gym and get that iron and get that pump and get back to your routine. But like right now you have an opportunity to do something that you've never, that you maybe necessarily wouldn't focus on, because you got to get them gains. You got to build that. Right. Got to get them peaks up,
Absolutely.
build them pecs, build that muscle, eat that chicken. You got to do all those things. And that's great. Listen, I'm going to do it as soon as that first day that gym opens up. I'm going to go in there. I'm a superset till I die.
Yeah.
Everybody's
going to have a very long workout that day.
But I think it's important to focus on those things. And anybody can do those right now. And all it just takes is a little ingenuity, some effort and determination. I mean, everybody right now is an Instagram fitness model. So just go on. You can find a ton of workouts that somebody's doing somewhere.
Yeah.
Experiment, try stuff, go to the park. I've been doing a lot of, I live right near the lake. It's just like a block from my crib. And it's a mile. So I'll go out there. I'll power walk that thing 2-3 laps. Then I'll start my workout. There's a field out there. I've been doing a lot of football workouts. I've been doing a lot of conditioning, like 110s, 300-yard shuttles, things like that. Just things I haven't done in a long time. Just kind of get my workout going, get something different going.
I'll try to stick to the bodybuilding workouts with what I got inside the house. And if I really want to get the sweat after, I'll go outside and try to do more so like kind of to the end of my driveway, to the front of my door, kind of like high knees to the end of the driveway, come back high knees, and then I'll try to do like we have some steps, so I try to do like the quick step ups, and then I'll try to add in like sprints there, just different stuff, trying to like sweat and try to do a few rounds of that, just trying to, you know, like you're saying, like just something different from the typical like, you know, bodybuilding type style, because obviously, you know, when that returns, we're all going to be doing that again, but this is a chance to have that more of that athlete, you know, bring that out of yourself. And I mean, for me and you, it is a little different because, like, you know, we are athletes, so it's not like we just bodybuild and we don't do that. But now it's kind of, you don't have, you know, anything to do.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not just, you know, do our bodybuilding stuff and then get on to the athletic stuff all in one? Like, you have time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of makes a difference.
Hell yeah, man. If there's a will, there's a way.
Always.
So, man, you've had a big couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah. So we go quarantine, right? We go COVID-19, lockdown, everything.
Yep.
But we were still, you know, WWE is still able to perform, right? We're doing it in front of, which is the weirdest thing ever, that we're able to perform in front of no fans, right? Considering that we're like one of those industries that, like, it's like going to a concert and like no fans being there, you know, having a concert with no people, or going to a comedy show with nobody there. It's just like the crowd is just as much a part of the show as the performers are.
Absolutely.
So it's like, it is a little weird. So you're getting thrown into this new world with all these new little things. What's it been like to like be out there having a wrestle without the audience and without that instant feedback?
So I was asked about this, man, maybe like 2 weeks ago, and some people might take to it differently than I do. For me, I you know, I was curious. I was like, hey, when I go out there, like, I wonder if, you know, I'm going to feel the ring more, and it's going to, you know, everything's going to hurt more than it usually does, because usually that adrenaline's going and you got the people screaming at you, so you might get hit really hard, but you're good. You know, you're like, oh, whatever, like, I got to go, you know. But I wonder if my energy would be different, but it wasn't. I think because, man, honestly, like, it's just been something I've always wanted to do. And it's like, once that music hits, it's just whatever I was feeling in the back, whether it's nerves or, you know, like thinking everything that I just said, as soon as I walk out, I think I'm just there and I'm in it, and I don't come out of that bubble until I walk to the back. So for me, it hasn't been a bad experience. I actually like it, and I think it's an opportunity to actually present who I am better, because now you can actually hear every word that I say. And if it's somebody that doesn't say anything, well, I mean, you can't really learn much from that. But for me, man, just like the talking trash and getting to talk about my achievements while I'm, you know, kicking somebody's ass, it's like you're getting to know who I am. And you can tell, like, how I feel about myself and how I feel about other people. And the camera's right there. And I know, you know, I got all those people right behind that camera. So whatever I'm saying, they're, you know, they're feeding off this energy, and they know, you know, how I'm trying to interpret myself and how I'm trying to present myself to them. So I've taken it as a very different but grateful opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. I would take it. I would imagine, though, that there are some adjustments that need to be made when having a match now that there isn't an audience.
Right.
Because there's certain things that we do as sports entertainers that throughout the life and history of a match, we kind of base on what we're about to do next on the crowd reaction. And now that that's not there, I've noticed just from watching, being like, oh, I wouldn't do, you know, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that, or I would do more of this, you know, like you said, I would talk more shit, which I don't know if that's actually even possible, but
yeah, especially for you.
But I would talk more, like you said, it's an opportunity not only to be seen now, but to be heard. And like, you've got to change as a performer, at least from what I've been seeing. I think that there needs to be little, you know, they're little minor tweaks, but I think that they're very important. To add, you know, because there is that dead space of like no noise in the building.
Yeah.
which is weird.
Yeah.
It's weird to watch.
And I think it's both ways, whether I'm, in control or, I'm not in control. My selling, it can't be the silent, sell with, even though my facials are good and, my body movement's good. Like if there's no noise, it's still that awkward time there, and it's like, it's just like a movie, like you've gotta have that feeling there, it's nobody's gonna, watch a movie scene and somebody's fighting and the person that's getting beat up, they're not making any noise. It's kind of weird. Yeah. So you just got to think of it as that aspect, because it's very weird, but at the same time, it's very cool and creative if you, really focus in and want to bring your best to it.
Yeah, it adds a new little wrinkle to the game. I think, if anything, this is going to force people to up their game. You know what I mean? Kind of up them to the next level, right? You've got to, it's adapt or die right now. And it's just like we're in unprecedented times, like we've been talking about. So it's like, we're in a less than ideal situation. But what are you going to do to adapt and evolve and conquer, Because it's like we can be like, oh, man, this is a crappy situation. I don't want to be here. I don't want to have to do this in front of no fans. Or you'd be like, this is a new challenge, and I'm up to it. And like I might have to work a little harder. I might have to think a little bit more in terms of, I got to make, I got to make some noises here. I got to sell like this. I've got to, my shit talking actually, some people get into that weird little thing where they're just talking shit and they just say the same thing over again. And it's like, no, you can talk shit now and tell a story with your shit talking.
I just, I try to think of this, going into the matches, kind of like I got a promo, but I don't. It's just a match, but I have a promo ready. My opponent, I want to know their achievements. I want to know where they've been, what they've done. Like this past week, me and Tozawa faced off. I knew he was a cruiserweight champion. That's still a championship in WWE.
Yeah.
He's a cruiserweight, and, I'm not. So to me, that was a big thing. Like, they put me out here with a cruiserweight, and then I start, going into talking about, I've been at Wrestlemania and you haven't. How long you been here? And that's something I used in the match. And it's like, yeah, like I lost at Wrestlemania, but it's Wrestlemania. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm 22. Like,
hell yeah.
I don't care what you say. Like, so that was just something that I was thinking more of, not necessarily like, what move can I do in this match? It was focused on, what can I say to him? What can I do? What are, when I'm selling or he's selling, like just what can make this different from every other match we see tonight? Because if you do go out there and you just do the match, you're just not going to get what you're trying to get out of it.
Yeah.
And everybody has a different perspective of what that is, whether you had a great, killer, athletic, good match, or you're an entertainer, And at the end of the day, to me, we talked about this with other people, it's on a, television network. And to me, it's TV. So it's entertainment.
Yeah.
So that's what we need.
Yeah.
So that's why I put so much into that and thinking about that now. And regardless if there's a crowd there or not, there's a way to do it both ways. And I'm still finding that, and I know it's going to take time. And I feel like when I have it, I might not even know, or I will. But I'm always going to try to improve that and figure out exactly what it is and how it could be better.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like this is a weekly episodic television show, and I think it would be important for people, up and coming wrestlers, young kids at home that want to aspire to be professional wrestlers, guys that are, working at their craft at the base level right now. I think it's important to remember that, that you are a character on a weekly episodic television show, and that as much as the physical stuff is cool, like it's the theatrical part that makes money. That's the theatrical part that draws people in.
Yeah.
So it's like that stuff. I always say you're one part athlete, one part actor, one part stunt double.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing too. Like me and you, we could compare this to working out. Like when you tell somebody, they're like, I go so hard in the gym, but you know, the food part is just for me. And that's why I look like,
right.
you know, but it's like just every part has to be good, you know, like super entertaining, but you gotta be good in the ring too. You know, like you just want to have all that down.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, I just don't, I'm glad you said it that way and didn't give each thing a different percent. How most people will say, well, this is 80% and you need 20% of this. It's like, no, everything has to be 100. 100. Like everything has to be good, you know? And if you want to be one of those guys that's like, I'll go 110, whatever. Like everything has to be the same though. You know, and if you're lacking, you know, you need to improve that, but there's no certain percent for these things. Like if you want to be the best, you know, the best has everything.
Yeah.
So everything or nothing.
Yeah. They're all equally important.
Yeah.
So you touched on this, 22 years old.
Yep.
22-year-old young stud out here. You know what I mean? This boy came into the quarantine and is going to come out of the quarantine better than he left it. Okay. Yes. So you came in, you know, you start getting a run on NXT, right? Quarantine happens. Some crazy stuff starts happening. They got you on Raw. Yeah. Right. They got you with Garza and Andrade with Zelina. Yep. Cool little thing, by the way. Y'all look great together. Appreciate that. And then this boy gets a WrestleMania match. Woo! Tell me what that was like.
Man, it's so WrestleMania, man, it like didn't really hit me until I watched it back. And the reason behind that is the day I found out, you know, about being on Raw, it all just happened so fast. You know, it was like, you're going to be on Raw. And then it's like, okay. And then they're like, okay, now you're going to be on WrestleMania. And then it's like, oh, okay. And they're like, but you're going to film that we're going to do that on Thursday. And right now it's Tuesday. And I'm like, okay, like, all right, let's do it. Like, sounds good. And then Wednesday came and they hit me up so quick. Like it was around maybe 1 o'clock. And they're like, hey, you need to get here now. We're going to do WrestleMania. And I'm like, all right. And there was just no time to really, I guess, be nervous and really get into my head.
Because everything happened so fast.
Yeah, man. And I think it's like when you got like a big match or something coming up, you know, it's like in 2 weeks you got this opportunity and it's like, all right. And it's like, am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? And it was just, everything happened so fast. I just didn't have time to really let it sink in and, you know, WrestleMania. And that might have been different if we were, you know, where WrestleMania usually is, in a giant stadium, like sold out, like
80,000 people. Exactly.
More than the regular, you know, Raw or SmackDown. Yeah. I think it would have been a different feel. But for me, it was definitely, you know, watching it back when it happened on TV. And that was when I was like, man, like there's the card, you know, there's the WrestleMania symbol. There's my name. Like, oh, man, it's crazy.
So they had you guys. So they had you guys film everything ahead of time. Yeah. Before it was actually aired. And they did that in parts just so they could keep the amount of people near each other super low, right? Right. Is that right? Yeah. So they had you guys actually kind of film WrestleMania and almost like separately from everybody else. So they had to piece everything together, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it's crazy how they do all that, you know, but I mean, that's just something they're really good at, being able to adapt to any situation. And I know a lot of people were unhappy about the whole, you know, like no crowd situations, but it's like, well, if you guys aren't there and you guys are unhappy about this, what if there's no wrestling? You know, and everybody's going to be upset. But I like that WWE always finds a way. And that's what's really cool about it all, is like, no matter what, we're going to give you WrestleMania. Right.
So, yeah, it's like, yo, you're a pro, you know, like at the end of the day, like you're a professional and like you're getting paid, you get a paycheck, right? You get one every Monday or whatever whenever your direct deposit is, you know, you get paid. So like, that's like your job. And it's like, well, right now your job is asking you to perform, you know, at a high level and not in front of people. And it's like, yeah, are you a pro or are you not a pro?
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, the option is definitely there. You know, are you comfortable with this? You know, and they ask you that, you know, and they ask you a whole bunch of questions like, have you been to this place? Have you done this? Just to be secure about everything and make sure. And some people just didn't feel comfortable doing it, and that's totally okay. Depends on your situation and what you're doing. Yeah. You know, me, I'm I'm just young and hungry, man. I was like, WrestleMania, man. Like,
dogs in the house.
Ready to go, man. I'm just chilling at home, you know, like doing these workouts. Like, let's go. Yeah. So I was stepped up to the opportunity.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I've always admired that about you. You're a young dude. You know what I mean? You got a good head on your shoulders. You know what you're after. You know what your why is, your goal is, the things that you're seeking after. And I see you in here, and I see you working hard in the weight room. I see you working hard when we're in Sean's class, when we're watching film together, asking him questions, taking critique. And then even, you know, when it's us and the boys together, you know what I mean, working in the ring, asking questions, working on things, working on just different sequences, holds, punches, you know, all the things that we work on, you know. Right. And then you're always asking, I know you're always asking questions, always asking me questions, always asking, you know, the guys that we hang out with questions.
Yeah.
And just young, hungry, trying to get after it. You know, no excuses, just results.
Yeah,
you know?
That's it, man.
And I appreciate that.
I appreciate that, you saying that. I really do. Thank you for that.
Yeah. No, so I've been, you know, before I was a wrestler, I was a football player, and I came up in that game at a young age. You know, I'd been wrestling since I was 12 years, or playing football since I was 12 years old. And, you know, I was very similar. I knew when I was young what I wanted. You know, I wanted, like, for me, football was my way out, right? So it was like, and I loved football. So it was just like, yo, I got to become the best. So it's like, I got to work out after school, you know, with my strength coach every day, and I can't miss one single day. And when the summer came, like, and people were on vacation, hanging out, going out with their families and stuff, I was still in the gym training. And then when I had the opportunity to go to college, you know, I got to go to a big Division I program, went to the University of Pittsburgh. And from, you know, I went from being the hardest worker on my team to being like a big fish in a big pond, you know, at low man on the totem pole. But the goal and the why didn't change, you know? And it was just like, okay, now I got to keep that same passion and drive. But now I need to look around, because, like, I don't really know what working hard is. I thought I did, but now I see these other guys. I see these older guys around here that, you know, seniors, fifth-year seniors who are like I'm seeing what they're doing. I'm like, damn, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I was like, but maybe I should be doing that, you know? And it's like, you figure out, once you get somewhere long enough, you kind of look around, you're like, okay, who's a joker and who's not a joker?
Yeah.
You know, like, who's about it and who's not about it. And then when you figure that out, you know, you kind of gravitate towards those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, like, I saw that from you, you know what I mean? Just young, hungry dude, willing to do whatever. And, you know, it does help. You got to, you know, you were blessed with some gifts from the creator or whatever mystical forces out there, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you've, dude, I see how hard you work. I don't know too many people that work as hard as you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You know, I don't see too many people that work as hard as Austin Theory.
Yeah.
And, like, to me, like, I admire that. When I see somebody that works hard and is about their business and, like, they're just them, like, I admire that. And so I've always admired you, bro. So I appreciate that out of you.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. So what's like the next, what do we got going on next in here, man? You know, for you,
well, if we're still talking wrestling, got that Money in the Bank coming up.
That's right.
That qualifying match.
Okay.
So I already set it online to Aleister Black. You know, he can go back to his dirt nap after the match. And I'm going after that money. You hear me? I'm going after that money.
Ka-ching!
Yeah, yes, sir.
Ka-ching!
So that's what's next for me. That's this Monday. So it's gonna be a good time.
Okay. So you heard it here first. What are we talking about? 8 o'clock Monday on the USA Network.
Yeah, Monday Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw. Austin Theory versus Aleister Black. Tune in, be there, or be square.
Be square. Don't be square. That's
did you play any sports growing up other than wrestling?
You know, people always assume that I do, you know, but no. And the reason why is I just never wanted to get injured, because I always knew that I wanted to be a wrestler.
Okay.
As a kid, yes, like there were like my mom would put me in baseball and in basketball, and I remember trying to do baseball again. But when I started watching wrestling around 8, man, I just started like, do I really got to go to baseball practice today? Like, can I go next week? Yeah. Can I go next week? Like, it was just a thing. And then it's like, you don't have to do it anymore. And I think when I got around 12, that was when, man, I just knew since I was 8. Like, it was just, I don't know. I was just so mesmerized by wrestling. And, you know, still to this day, I don't exactly know what it is. Because it's, I mean, if you look at it, it is this weird thing. But it's, I don't know. It was captivating to me. And it was just like, yeah, you could go watch like, you know, superhero movies and see Spider-Man and all that, but you knew it was a movie. But like, you seen these guys on TV and you heard it was live. So you're like, oh, so, I mean, this is live. It's happening right now. So they're not retaking scenes and doing this. Like, they're out there doing it. And I'm like, and these guys look crazy, like, you know, crazy in shape when I watched it, just huge dudes. And they could do some unbelievable stuff. But, you know, like the character and just all that, I was just so captivated by it. So for me, I was just so set on that. And at a very young age, I dedicated my life to saying, I'm going to be in the WWE. So I remember when I was 12, I was sneaking into the gym with my mom. You had to be 14 to work out. So for 2 years, I snuck into the gym with my mom and was training. And I'd watch like only the WWE guys like on YouTube, their workout videos. And I was like, oh, Triple H is, you know, doing this for chest. I got to do this. And, you know, John Morrison does this for abs. I got to do this. And I was just watching all this stuff. And later on, I started learning, you know, more into working out and stuff like that. But I was always just trying to find a way. And that's why, you know, bodybuilding gets brought up a lot for me. Mm-hmm. But bodybuilding's something that, you know, I do have respect for it. I find it interesting, but it's not something that I, you know, I had a passion for. Right. It was only a way for me to try to get into the WWE. Yeah. I had a bodybuilding friend at the time, and he told me, hey, man, I heard you're into wrestling. WWE scouts were at my show. So if you, you know, are interested in getting there, maybe do a bodybuilding show. And I'm 17 at the time. I graduated at 17, and this was in 2015. And I'm like, well, all right, that's my ticket. So
that's all you needed to hear.
Yeah. So I trained super hard for the bodybuilding show, and I ended up winning Mr. Teenage Georgia, and that was an awesome achievement. And I was like, had my trophy in my hand.
Sheesh, the boy's got it.
Yeah, I was holding it in my hand, and I'm like, all right, like, I guess I'm gonna get an email or something. Like, and never heard anything from WWE, and I was like, man, like, all right, this isn't the way. Yeah. So the next thing I set out to do was try to, you know, find another way. And obviously living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, movies are everywhere. So extra work, they're always looking for extras. So in my mind is like, okay, I get it. Like, an extra doesn't really get noticed that much, but you never know. And I've heard stories about actors that were extras, and, you know, it took them to their, you know, peak of where they are now. Yeah. So for me, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to be an extra, and maybe somebody there will notice me, and they'll be like, you know what? You don't really work out here, but WWE, though, that's a wild, like, thing to think about. But that's what I was trying to do, and I worked for that, and wasn't hearing anything from that. And then I was like, all right, man, when you hit 18, like, it's time to go to a wrestling school. And that's all. Like, after that, everything was history. That's where it all started.
You created it, bro.
Yeah.
Thoughts are powerful. I always tell myself I got to be careful what I think, because when I think of something, it happens. Yeah. So I'm like, man, I got to be careful.
And there's very few people like that, which is crazy. But it's, you know, like, I feel like with people like us, like, and there are other people like this, but it's not a very common thing. But once that, you know, like you said, you got to be careful, because if you want something, before you know it, it'll happen. Like, if, you know, you want a tree in your house, I mean, I'll come over here next time, and it'll look like a forest in here.
That boy, Paul Bunyan.
Yeah.
So you and I have a love for bodybuilding as well. Probably similar to, you know, same thing kind of that you said here. I love bodybuilding. I love training. I love seeing the guys, you know, do shows. I love seeing them compete, right? You know, I love all that stuff. But I don't have like I don't know if I have like a thirst and a desire to be a bodybuilder, you know. I've done a show before too. I did right after my tryout for the WWE, there was like, you know, the hiring process, which as you know, takes quite some time.
Yeah.
For me, it took 9 months.
Okay.
So I had my trial in January, and then I ended up reporting end of September 29th, 2015. And in that time, I just was like, it's the first time that I kind of had time to not do anything, which was weird because I've been playing sports for so long and training with football and then like seeking to get after wrestling and get into wrestling. I just had this period of like dead time. And I just don't do very well with not having anything to do. So I just was like, I had to create a goal to work towards. So I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm going to do a bodybuilding show. And I was like, well, you know, I'm not like, you know, I can't play by the same rules that other bodybuilders play by, but like I've been training, you know, since I was 12 years old. I got a great physique. I got a great foundation, and I could do the physique competitors category, you know?
Right.
And I was just like, okay. I was like, let me do this. I was like, you know, 12 weeks. I'm already lean as hell right now. There was a show that was like 12 weeks out. This dude back home has got this gym that I train out, Real Fitness, Jack Sullivan. Mm-hmm. He was also like a bodybuilder as well. And I reached out to him. I was like, hey, man, this is my situation. Getting ready for the WWE, but I kind of need something to kind of challenge and push myself. And I'd like to do a show. So he took me on and did my diet for me, you know, because at that time I had like I had a 101 knowledge of nutrition, you know. I didn't have I knew how to get strong, and I knew how to be a functional athlete through good foods, you know, healthy foods, and like being in a surplus. Because as a football player, it was different demands as it is as a wrestler, you know.
Absolutely.
Like as a football player, I needed to be explosive, powerful, and like durable. Like I needed to smash people, you know what I mean? So like I can't have 6% body fat, you know, like I got now. Yeah. I gotta have, you know, 18% body fat, you know, which is still healthy, but like I ain't taking my shirt off and having abs pop out, you know what I mean?
No.
Like it ain't, you know, it ain't like that, but it wasn't necessary, you know. I needed to have that body style, that body composition, so that I could weigh 325, so that I could squat 700 pounds, so that I could, when I smashed into other 300-pound men, I had enough mass and strength and endurance to keep smashing them over and over again for 60 minutes, you know? Mm-hmm. So I had to completely kind of change my diet up and my training to kind of move from, you know, sports specific, athletic, dynamic lifting to, okay, now I've been training since I was 12. I already have that athletic, dynamic background, and I too have been born with, you know, a certain amount of physical gifts, and, you know, I stacked on top of them with, you know, just a bunch of hard work in the process. But like, I've already got that. I've already got this stuff. Now I need to focus on bodybuilding, because I never trained for like as a body, but I'm never in that upper range of 15 plus reps, you know. Right. It'd be rare if I was going over 10 or 12 reps, you know. Every now and then we'd throw in a hypertrophy phase, you know, in football, just to kind of have, but it was more, you know, that 5 to 3 rep range with lower, you know, 45-second rest to kind of simulate gameplay.
Right.
So it was completely different for me. So I was just like, okay, I did that, and I dropped the weight, I dieted, and I got super shred, super peeled.
Yeah.
But, and you know, I looked great, but it was like, also, I was like, I felt the worst I ever felt too. Yeah. I looked the best I had ever looked up to that point, and I felt the worst I'd ever felt up to that point on stage.
That's what's so ironic about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The diet, man, is what, it's just it's bodybuilding, but it incorporates the entire body, especially the mind. Yeah, it's very tough on the mind. That was something, man, when I did my show, like, yeah, there's been some difficult things that I've done, but really just that mental state of getting ready for that bodybuilding show, those last, you know, 2 weeks, man, it was very mentally testing. But I feel like it just helps you so much when you're in a tough situation, and it's like, man, like, I've already been in something way harder than this. Like, this is nothing. Like, this is breadcrumbs, you know? So it's like, just brush it off, which those things are great, you know? I mean, they're not great to go through, but they are at the same time.
Yeah. It's good to test yourself. It's good to do hard things.
Yeah.
You know, because the only way to build mental toughness is to like go through tough situation.
Absolutely.
To put yourself in like positions of adversity, to put yourself in a place where it's like, okay, like this is going to suck and I know it's going to suck, but like, do I really want that goal? Do I really want what it is that I think I want? You know what I mean? And if I do, am I willing to do what's necessary to get it? Because otherwise it's just like a wish and a hope.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just like, force yourself to do tough things, you know, train with guys that are stronger than you, faster than you, in better shape with you, guys that are going to push you to your limit, guys that are going to call you out on your bullshit, you know, like that's where you get better. Put yourself, you know, do something you've never done before.
Yeah.
You know, if you've never read a book before, read a book.
Yeah.
If you're not good at, you know, you want to learn a new skill and you've never done it before, just start diving into it.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's just you go to YouTube, you know, find a channel that like will help teach you, find somebody that is good at it, start asking them, just put yourself in situations that make you uncomfortable and learn how to become comfortable while you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that, like, you will build mental toughness in that process. I promise you.
Yeah. Uncomfortable is the main word for that.
Yeah.
Like that's it. I mean, that's the only way to get out of it. Cause like you spoke before, just being in that room of guys that, you know, you already know you're ahead of, you're just kind of wasting time. But when you're in that room where you're like, oh man, this guy, he works really hard. Like I think I'm on that level, but when you test your mind that way, I feel like you're in the right area.
Yeah.
You know, because you're like, I'm a little uncomfortable because, you know, like that's a tough guy right there. But I want to be there, you know, I'm not walking out. I'm not backing down. Like, but I find it that there are people though, that they like being in that room where, you know, they are the top guy and they like that. And because there's no challenge and they enjoy that. But, you know, I think with me and you, it's like, that just gets boring, man. Yeah. And I feel so stale. Like, I mean, it's like being in quarantine. Like, it's just the same thing every day. Yeah. And like, as you could be like, yeah, man, it's cool to like, you know, get a day off and get to chill. But it's like, I feel like with us, it's like, all right, after that one day's happened, you're like, all right, let's go. Like, yeah. Where am I going? What am I doing? You know, what time is it? How much time I got? Like, we just want to be doing more and more. And I think that's what makes us want to be so aspiring, is just constantly trying to find something different and look out for different things and different skills, like stuff we're not good at. Like, we're not afraid to, you know, like me, like I can't dance at all, but one day maybe I want to learn how to dance. It's like, I'm going to dive into it. You know, I might suck at it, but it's like, how are you going to get good at it? You're just going to say you suck.
That's a big thing, is not being afraid of sucking at something and not being afraid of failing at something. Yeah. I think those are important factors, especially for anybody that is out there trying to pursue something new. You know, you want to obtain something that you've never done before. Like, you got to do something that you've never done before. And usually when you do something you've never done, you're going to suck at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been inherently good at anything from the jump. Mm-hmm. I can't think of anything that I started off at and I was good at it or great at it.
Yeah.
Even working out, you know, even football, you know, like first 4 weeks, month of football, I just got my ass kicked, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I was in the 6th grade, just hit a growth spurt. You know, I went from 5'9" at the end of the 5th grade to 6'1" in the beginning of the 6th grade, which, like, I was a big ass 6th grader, right? Yeah, but like that growth spurt, I was like a puppy, you know, when he's running through the place and his legs are moving different than his upper body and like smashing into shit. Yeah. I was just like, I wasn't good at it. And I had to, like, you know, I had to get my ass kicked. I had to get beat up on. I had to, you know, go through all of those like learning pains or those growing pains to like eventually start getting good.
Yeah.
And then, like, I was able to, you know, transfer, you know, go from being this uncoordinated, lanky, you know, 6th grader to like being this destroyer.
Yeah.
You know, and like, you know, that took time to get there. Mm-hmm. But it was worth it, you know, it was worth all of those. And like, I've been you know, cause I'm 30 and you know, I wrestled. Well, first, you know, I played football, wrestled in high school, and then, you know, I was fortunate enough to wrestle or play football in college and then have a brief little, you know, stint in the pros. then to be able to transition, you know, from football to wrestling and starting at the bottom, you know, starting at something that you sucked at. Because, like, I don't care who you are, how great of an athlete you are, like, before or whatever other industry or sport that you're in, when you come into professional wrestling, sports entertainment, you're going to suck at this.
Yeah.
Like, just prepare for it.
Yeah.
You are going to suck at this.
Yeah.
And it is going to feel awkward, right?
Yep.
Because it's unlike anything that there is. And, like, you've got to go through that awkwardness. You got to go through that sucking and the pain that comes with just being terrible, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to, you know, you're going to get your ass whooped by the ring. You're going to get your ass whooped by the training that you have to do to become a good wrestler. And then once you start developing the basic fundamental skills to perform and have a match safely, you know, you're going to come out to crickets, which you're going to learn is a very humbling experience.
Yeah.
You know, because nothing's worse than your music hitting and you being amped up and coming out and people being like, who the hell's this dude?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then, God forbid, somebody starts heckling you, talking shit to you, and you're just in your head, man, I'm just trying to have a good first match. And then, like, you're going to go through that process, you know? But, like, they're all necessary things to happen for you to get to where you want to be. And it's like, how bad do you want what it is that you want?
Right.
You're willing to go through that.
Right.
You're willing to endure. Because I promise you, you know, and everybody, when we talked about these skills or these gifts that you're given, right? And I've been given some, you've been given some. Everybody that's listening to this right now, you have a gift, believe it or not. Now, your gift might not be that you're 6'9", 294 pounds of just like sexy muscle, you know what I mean? That might not be your gift, you know? But we all have gifts. And it's just like finding your gift and learning to cultivate that and let that lead you to wherever your heart and your passions are. And then in that process, just pour yourself into it.
Right.
Which, I mean, I don't got to tell you, you know?
Yeah.
I don't got to tell you because you put it out into the universe at a young age. And, I mean, you just had your Wrestlmania moment. So, I mean.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's still wild.
So what it was, so I heard you talking about not knowing what it is that drew you to wrestling. Who are some of your like inspirations when you were younger coming up that kind of caught your eye to get you into the business?
I think my first connection to wrestling was John Cena.
Okay. I could see that. I could see that.
A lot of people say that to me, but
that ain't a bad thing neither.
Yeah, no, not at all. I'm a huge fan of his. But man, the thing that got me the most with him was, I really think it was just stuff going on in my life that I was able to know that if I could make it to Monday, I knew wrestling would be on. I knew if I could make it to Friday, wrestling would be on. And I just knew, like, you know, in school, like, I was getting bullied a lot. And it was something that, man, I was just always, and I still am to this day. I feel like I'm the same person. I'm a very, like, carefree person. Like, I just like to have fun. I like to make people laugh. I know how to be serious when I need to be serious, but honestly, I'm not a serious person. I just like to have fun. And people can look at me and they can say, oh, this guy, he's probably a douchebag or whatever. And I've had my friends, like some that I call like close friends, tell me like, man, I thought you were going to be, you know, like that, and you're not. And it's crazy. But for me, man, just like getting bullied, and that was like really hard on me. And I tried so hard in those situations to brush it off and just be the cool dude. And like it doesn't bother me, but it did.
Yeah.
But, you know, but being bullied and, you know, that being a huge effect on me. And also my father wasn't in my life a lot. Like, it was kind of one of those things when he did decide to show up on the weekends, I fought so hard to not have to go with him. I just didn't enjoy it. And I don't need to talk about the things that happened when I was with him because I don't want to even give him that time.
Yeah.
But for me, bullying, my father wasn't in my life. And when I looked at John Cena, it was somebody that was so motivating to me. And as cheesy as it is to a lot of people, this never give up thing meant so much to me. And I knew that if I just take this, you know, these words and I just run with them, I feel like it could do something for me. And I loved it because, you know, he was in situations where, you know, I remember specifically when he was in an angle with the Nexus and these guys were jumping him, and he made sure like he would be able to get every single one of them. Like he would overcome every single one of them. And it was just that never give up attitude. And I just used it in life and through my goals and everything. And I think that's what, you know, I say I don't really know what drew me to wrestling, but I think it was honestly like an emotional thing.
Yeah.
And then I realized like, wow, like I like this. And then I'm like, oh, I'm kind of, you know, athletic. I think I can do this. Like, man, I actually love this. Like, you know, so I think it was just one of those things. I just became so attached to it. And it just became one of those things that like, I remember, you know, I would never leave home and I'd always be at home. And I remember when I first started wrestling and I went on my first trip and I was away from my family, you know, that I would see every single day. Like come home from school, see my family, go to the gym, come home, see my family. And I remember when I did my first wrestling trip and I was out of state, you know, not with my family on vacation. And I was like, how is this going to be? And I remember like I felt weird, but when I seen the show and I seen the ring, no matter where it was, it could be, you know, in the middle of nowhere, a crappy ring. It didn't matter because wrestling was just like so like touching to me. And I had such an emotional connection with it that I just felt like at home no matter where I was. Like even when I started traveling for the first time, like, you know, out of the United States and went to Mexico and went to the UK, I was like, you know, how am I going to feel being so young and not being, you know, around my family at all and just being around random people wrestling? Like it just, yeah, it's just like, it just kind of does this weird thing to my body where I'm just like, I'm comfortable, man. Like, you know, I can be nervous about the match and all the people here, but when I'm in that ring, it's just like, that's all I've ever known almost, you know? So that's just, you know, like John Cena, that was just a very big inspiration on my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah, man. That's, I mean, to me, what it sounds like is you kind of found your purpose.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the beauties of sports entertainment is these characters as a young kid that you can gravitate towards and look towards for, like you said, like Cena's never give up, you know? And it's like you go back to Hogan, you know what I mean? And like eat your vitamins and pray to God. And, you know, like there's always been these great kind of figures in pro wrestling that were like motivating, you know, like for young kids to kind of look towards. And, you know, I mean, let's just be real. Not everybody has a great life growing up, you know? Like you said, like you didn't have your dad. I know we've talked before, you know, where, you know, you've kind of told me some of the things that have taken place with you and him that have not been very great, right? Yeah. Kind of left like, you know, a sour spot in your life. But like the WWE for you was something that, you know, I don't want to say replaced it because you can never replace that, right? Yeah. But like it gave you something, you know what I mean? It added something.
It did fill a gap.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Filled a gap for something that you didn't have. And then it's like, you know, it gave you that motto, never give up, you know? And it was just like, I mean, I think that that's great for any person to kind of have in their brain is to just know to never give up.
I think too, man, it helps me with my attitude now. And you're somebody that can definitely relate to this. I feel like so many people now, wrestling's ran on how these internet guys react to what we do. Yeah. And we're trying to, a lot of guys try to please them. And a lot of people get in their head about that. Like, you know, it's usually grown men. Let's just be real with it.
I see them go right after their matches, bro. They go to Twitter,
you know, and they're usually hating on it. You know, sometimes you get some positive stuff and sometimes you get some negative stuff, mostly negative stuff. But for me, it's like, yeah, there's so many of these negative guys, but there's so many of these positive kids. And for me, it was like I was that positive kid. When everybody was chanting, you know, Cena sucks, I was chanting, let's go Cena.
Let's go Cena.
And it's just one of those things, like, I feel like it's just those certain people, you know, in time that have to be able to separate that. And I feel like, you know, Hogan and Cena, like, and other big names that were captivating like that, just to be specific with Cena, like, I feel like he knew that. And it was like, you know, it doesn't matter what your opinion of me is. I'm not going to change who I am. And I think that's awesome because it's so relatable, because it is. That's how it should be in real life. Like, you know, you don't wear red shoes because you think that a lot of people, you know, don't like the color red. It's like, no, if you like them, wear the red shoes.
Yeah.
You know, it's about being you, and that's what's going to separate you. And trust me, there are people, and I feel like I'm one of those people that notice stuff like that. Like when I see somebody and maybe they're wearing something, you know, different, or maybe they've got their hair a certain way, or they're talking a certain way. I'm like, wow, like he really doesn't care. Like he likes to be that way. Yeah. I find that very unique and impressive, rather than, you know, I see all these people and they don't really stand out to me, you know, and not saying everybody has to try to stand out by doing something crazy, but I notice little things like that, and I appreciate little things like that.
Yeah. I think there's, maybe everybody comes to this at different times, and well, hopefully everybody kind of comes to it at some point in their life. So other people at different times. But you gain a superpower when you have this don't give a fuck attitude. Mm-hmm. When you have this when you have where I don't care what other people think about me attitude, and like you truly buy into it. You know what I mean? Like you get like, there's like almost like a weight that is lifted off your shoulders. And I'm not saying that you don't care about other human beings. You lack empathy and things like that. But it's just like, if I want to wear a funky shirt or some funky shoes or a weird little outfit and mix and match, whatever, because I feel like that is who I am and I dig that, I'm gonna wear it, you know, regardless. Yeah. Or if I want to talk, you know, like for me in particular, like I don't do very well with surface level conversations. You know what I mean? Like I just don't do well with it. I just feel like life's too short. Yeah. And like I'm not gonna be bullshitting with anybody. Yeah. Like if you're not a real genuine person and you're not talking about things of substance, you know, or being funny, you know, like I just don't wanna I just don't wanna do that. You know, and I appreciate people that are gonna talk about things that are outside the norm. Yeah. That aren't gonna talk about the weather, the news, their job, how much money you make, you know, what happened on CNN or Fox, you know, like those, like, I don't really care about those things, dude. You know what I mean? Like what I want to hear about, like, I want to know, what do you like, if I'm going to talk about your job, when people tell me what they do, the first thing I ask them, I was like, do you love it? Like, I want to know if you love that job. And if you do, like, let's hear it, you know, because like, I know if you love it, I'm going to hear it and feel it in the way that you talk. Yeah. Like I know that you love wrestling. Yeah. Cause I feel it. Like I could mute your mic right now, bro, and not be able to hear you, put these things on, not hear anything, and still feel that passion that you have for sports entertainment. It's
funny you say that, cause when I'm saying it, I feel heavy in my chest, and it's unlike nothing, because I think it's because I have so much that I can say about it. And it's like in my head, I'm like, all right, what do you want to tell him? What do you want to tell him? Because I got so much, and it's overwhelming at times, because it's like, that's all I've ever known. Right. You know? So it's like, ooh, like this is me. This is my category. Let me hit the buzzer. Like, you know? So it's very passionate for me to talk about, because it is, man. Like I'm just out here living my dream. You know, it's something that I've always wanted. And it's funny, like you speak about, you know, not caring attitude. That's so real. And for me, I have that attitude. And I think there's not a certain age of when somebody has it, because back home when I was working out at the gym in Georgia, I remember grown men would come up to me and they're like, you know, I see you travel. This was before WWE. They're like, man, I see you traveling every weekend and you're wrestling. And I remember you telling me, you know, you were going to do that. And they're like, you're just living your dream. And then they tell me about their job. They're, you know, working at this company and they're getting by and they want to do this and that. And they'd always tell me the same story, and every month it'd be the same. But they'd always tell me, they're like, man, you're the only person I know living, you know, their dream. And I'd always try to be the person to tell them the motivating things and to get them going. But at the end of the day, you know, as good as it is and as messed up as this sounds, I feel like motivation is, it's like, it is a real thing, but it's not. Because it's like, if you got it, you got it, you know? And yeah, I get like, you know, like I don't want to go against me saying like, well, John Cena, you know, he didn't motivate me. He absolutely did motivate me. But it's like, I just feel like where my mindset is now, it's like I know I would find a way because it's just the way that I am. Like there's always a way if you truly want something. So I don't really want to say like, you know, if I didn't see John Cena, I wouldn't be here. But it's like
motivation is fleeting.
Yeah.
You know, like it's good. Don't get me wrong. I'll watch. There's, you know, I've got, you know, my little things that I watch that are really motivating. You know, I like to listen to Jocko Willink. Yeah. You know, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. Yeah. Like there's other people out there that are like these motivational, you know, Tony Robbins, guys like that are very motivational, and they say things or articulate things in a way that like sparks something in your brain. And like, that's cool. But like, if that's the basis, you know what I mean? If you're having to listen to those guys to get you to the gym or to get you to practice or to get you into your books or whatever it is that you're into or trying to get into, like your why is wrong. Yeah. You know, because like what's going to happen is you're going to be 6 months deep, and the thing that you got motivated for is now going to be tedious. Yeah. And it's going to be like Groundhog's Day. Yeah. And if you're relying on an external factor to get you there, like that's going to fail. Yeah. So like the internal is what is most important. Like that has to come from here. It's got to come from beating out of your chest. Yeah. Because, you know, there's going to come a time where you don't want to go to the gym. Yeah. You're sore and you're beat up and you don't feel good. And it's real easy to stay in bed. Yeah. But it's those days that you don't feel good, that you feel like shit, those are the days that you get better. Yeah. Those are the days when you go to practice and your body's sore because you've been practicing for 2 straight weeks and you've been beating the hell out of each other and you've had matches or you've had games or this and that and you don't feel like it and you're hurting. You've got to go. That's when you need to go more than ever. Yeah. That's when you need to get into the gym, get on the field, get into your books. Yeah. Like that's the time that is going to take you to the next level. Yeah. That's the getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's doing the things that no one else is going to do. Yeah. You know, that's what gets you to that next level. That's what gets you to where it is that you're seeking after, because everybody would love to be a WWE superstar. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the coolest jobs in the world, if not the coolest job in the world. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, who wouldn't want to travel? You know, like, yeah, there's some hardships and training and stuff like that, but like,
it's not a hard life.
It's not. It's not when you love it. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Like, you get to travel all over the world. You get to perform in front of live audiences all the time. Like, it takes you to play. Like, dude, I've been all over the world because of wrestling. Yeah. You know, I've been able to train and perform in front of people because of this. And like, anybody would die for that opportunity. I wouldn't say anybody, but there's millions of people that would die for that opportunity. Yeah. Or at least they think they would die for that opportunity, I guess is what I'm trying to get to here. Is it's like anybody would love to be in our position. You know what I mean? Yeah. In your position. And the thing is no one's willing to do what you did to get here. Yeah. No one was willing to, you know, sneak into the gym when they were 12 years old with their mom to start working out. Yeah. Nobody was seeking out to get no bodybuilding competition and go through the stress of a prep to get noticed by the WWE. Yeah. Nobody, I don't see that many people seeking out these little schools, you know what I mean? Like, and trying to wrestle and learn how to wrestle just to hope to get seen, you know? Yeah, yeah. Like, that shit is hard. That is hard, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, wrestling at a small school and, like, having matches in front of 4 people, 12 people, whatever it is. Yeah. Like, that's not glorious. That's not sexy. Yeah. That ain't pretty, you know what I mean? You want to be in front of WrestleMania, 80,000 people. Yeah. Oh, man, I'd love to do that. But are you willing to love the process to get there? Are you willing to love going to some dirty gyms? Yeah. Are you willing to some dirty places to train and in a ring that, you know, you got to find the hole and avoid it when you're practicing, you know? And
it starts at a young age. Cause I remember, man, so bad. Like, you know, when you're in high school, you're like, oh man, like it's all about girls, you know what I mean? And for me, it was just like, yeah, it was that, but I also was like, okay, I know there's a party this weekend, but I'm like, thought you was training today, man. You know, it's Friday, you know, everybody's going to the party tonight. And it's like, yeah, you could work out quick enough and get to the party, but it's like, you don't drink. Why do you not drink? Because, you know, that's just something you chose to do because of your dad. Right. So that's a personal choice.
That's another cool thing about you, for if people don't know. Don't drink, don't smoke, no tobacco, nothing.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
I don't want to say straight edge, but I mean, for a lack of a better word, straight edge.
Yeah. Yeah. But that, just making that choice, and then, like if I go to the party because I'm in shape, like what if somebody wants to fight me and then we get into a fight and I hit my finishing move on somebody and then the police come. But you know, like just not going in that situation of getting arrested. So, but to me it was like, man, that's just a waste of time. Like a party in high school to me was just like a moment in time. And to this day, everybody that was in high school with me, you know, do you guys remember that party? No. You're worried about getting your next check because you're probably not living your dream. You know what I mean? And maybe there are some people. I'm not saying that you can't go to a party. You know what I mean? But I was just so dedicated that I went to the gym and I made sure I stayed out of trouble that way. Like that was just, I was like, if I miss tonight, then the guy that was, you know, in my head, there's this guy that's constantly chasing after my dream. And if I don't go to the gym today, he already went and he's just going to work out again and get a double in. Like, so in my head, I'm creating these insane situations, but it's just this like this hunger and this passion that I've got to go. I've got to get it. And it's like, nobody can tell me otherwise. And it helps so much, man. Cause I remember like when I went for my tryout, and I remember sitting in the room and it was like 50 people, and there was some talented people in there, regardless if they were already wrestlers or not. There were some talented people, but it did not matter to me because I knew as soon as I got on that flight on my way there and I got into my hotel room, and I remember walking into the performance center the first day of this tryout, I remember looking around and I was like, it doesn't matter who in here is better than me. It doesn't matter who in here is below me. It doesn't matter. Like, I know everything that I've prepared myself for. I know everything that I got walking into this, and I know how bad I want this, and I'm willing to drop on the floor in here because I'm going to take this. And I remember like just giving it everything I had. I remember like finishing that day, going, you know, getting in the bathtub, had like bags of Epsom salt in there, recovering. I was drinking Pedialyte. I was listening to Eric Thomas. Like, I was going in, dude. I was like, yo, they ain't ready. Like, people walking in talking about being sore. I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Sore, never heard of her.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember, like, I told myself, I said, when you get on that plane on the way home, you better have known that you gave everything that you had, everything. Like, there was nothing left. And I got back on that plane and I knew it. And then I remember seeing the article, and I was like the picture for the tryout, and they were saying stand out and all this. But I just remember, man, I was just like, yo, like that looks cool for right now, but that's it. It already happened. So let's go. What's next? Where are we going? They're saying you got to do this and this. All right, let's go. Let's do it. So it's just on to the next. Then I kind of relate that too now to like, people ask me, they're like, how do you deal with like negativity? Like when you see people say negative stuff about you. Honestly, this is how I take this. I'm not telling everybody to take it this way, but when I see a positive comment and a negative comment, they're the same to me. It's it's somebody's opinion.
Hell yeah.
And it's like, it's, I appreciate your kind words. Thank you. And you say the bad comment, it's like, okay, well, you know, you don't like me, but you took time out of your life to talk about me, so I got to be important to you. But I'm not even going to sit there and argue with you. I just put them in the same. It's an opinion, and if I get lost in that, I feel like I'm, you know, people have told me before, they're like, you know, how do you, but even before this Wrestlmania thing happened, like, they're just like, how does it feel like people telling you, like, you'll be a future champion and you'll be a future main event of Wrestlemania? And I'm like, honestly, that's like high hopes that people have for me, but it's like I don't get in my head about that stuff because as soon as I start thinking that, I feel like my foot's gonna let up off the gas just a little bit, you know?
Dude, that's I think that is a huge piece of advice for anybody out there listening to this. A lot of times people that take the negative comments too hard are the people that put too much value on a positive comment.
Yeah.
And it's like those positive comments shouldn't have any effect on you, just like the negative comments shouldn't have any effect on you.
Yeah.
Because you have your purpose, you know your why, and it's like nothing else matters. Like the positive, you know what I mean? Like, what am I gonna? Okay, what do I do with that? You know, do I let up off the gas because of that?
Yeah.
Because now that's detrimental. And then like I hear a negative comment, do I let up off the gas because somebody is tearing me down?
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm creating like this negative mindset.
Yeah.
It's like, so people put too much value into positive comments, and oftentimes that seeps into how much value they put into the negative comments.
Yeah.
And that's just yo, dude, that's impressive that you got that mindset already.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I think there's something to be said. We had talked on this a little bit earlier about, you know, adversity growing up. You know what I mean? You went through your adversity with not having your dad around as much as you would like or need.
Yeah.
But I think you got to have adversity in some way, shape, or form to really, really go after something, you know? And in particular in this industry, I think I think you got to be a little different, you know, a little off your rocker to be a pro wrestler. You know what I mean? You got to be kind of a crazy individual in some way, somehow. And a lot of times that usually comes through, you know, traumatic childhoods, you know, whether it's something happened to you, a parent being absent or whatever, you know, a lot of times like at the time when something negative or appears to be negative happens to us, we don't have the perspective of that moment yet to know that that is a pivotal point for your growth going forward.
Right.
And we only ever know that in retrospect. But a lot of times those negative things that happen to us, they do something that forces us to level up or forces us to go into a direction.
Right.
Where, you know, it gives you something, you know what that terrible feeling is, you know, and you don't ever want it again. So then you work so hard to never let that happen to you again, or to ever allow yourself to be in that position. Yeah. And it just forces you to drive towards whatever it is that you end up finding as your passion. And I think that that's very important. And I think as much as, you know, I've had my fair share of adversity, and I've looked back on all of it, and as much as it may have sucked at the time, they were pivotal points in my life, you know? Yeah. And I think that may have been what drove you to the point that you're at now. Yeah. You know? So it's like, from one perspective, it's a negative, but from another perspective, it was a positive. Yeah. You know? So it's just like, that's kind of goes into not ever giving up. You know, not ever feeling sorry for yourself, you know, or you know, looking for a pity party, you know, right, type thing. Because it's like, well, feeling sorry for yourself never paid the bills. No. Feeling sorry for yourself never helped anybody achieve anything. And like all that adversity and stuff, like it didn't kill you. Yeah. So now you know you're a hard person to kill. You went through some shit. Yeah. But you made it out. You know, and you made it out the other side stronger. So it's like, oh, I can get through this. Yeah. Well, maybe I can get through this. You know, man, I could take this on and try this. Right. You know, so, you know, it's just kind of crazy sometimes, the importance of setbacks and failures and adversity in our life, you know, not to let them crush us. Yeah. You know, which like is understandable. I get it. You know, people go through some serious stuff. Yeah. But like, just know that as long as you never give up and you keep pushing forward, there's a big old green field on the other side with sunshine and a blue sky, you know, and good times. You know, you just got to be willing and able to just push through that and let that, you know, that gives you some funk and some flavor to your personality too, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, some of the funniest people I know are just like crazy mofos that have just been through some crazy shit when they were younger. You know what I mean? And like, those are some of the funniest, coolest people to kind of be around. Yeah.
And you would never think that, you know, you would never think that they've been through something like that. Yeah. That's just being crazy, man. Like I mean, I'm crazy, you know what I mean? Like there's something like you got to be crazy to put on some tight pants and go out there and, you know, show your ass in front of the entire world. Like something's got to be wrong with you. And that's like your passion. It's like, yeah, when you really think about it, it all sounds pretty weird, but I don't know. It's my dream.
I'm out here fake fighting in my underwear, bro. You know what I mean?
It's my dream. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Hey, man. It's a great gig. Hey, in my opinion, beats any 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Beats any 9 to 5.
Absolutely, man.
I've never been a guy that could just sit in a cubicle or an office and have somebody, you know, some pencil neck telling me what to do. You know what I mean? I just could never do it. So I just never did it.
I remember like even just having regular jobs, and man, like I love that I say regular jobs, but I remember one of my first ones, I worked with my grandfather. He's worked at this place forever. It's like a plastic company, and I remember working there for 2 weeks, and I worked 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And that night shift, I mean, just naturally your body's going to shut down. And I remember working that night shift, and it was brutal. Like, just because I was younger, they had me, you know, lifting everything. And the plastic rolls, man, they'd get up to like 600 pounds, and I'm trying to roll them. And
they make that young boy work, bro.
Yeah,
that hard labor jobs, them old timers. My dad did that to me. He'd make me do all the hard jobs.
Yeah, it was brutal, man. And I was just like, I remember going in the restroom and looking at myself in the mirror, and I was like, what are you doing, man? I was like, oh my God. And then I got an email. I remember the second week when I quit, I got an email about doing a movie. I feel like I know what it is. I just can't.
I forgot what we were talking about.
I know we were talking about crazy people.
We're talking about crazy people.
We are crazy people.
Yeah, we are crazy people. Having to be crazy.
Oh yeah, we were talking about the job, me working, and okay, so that's what it was. So I found out I was working at the plastic company.
Yeah, there we are.
Yeah,
Grandpa.
So I was like, we're here now. I was working at the plastic company, and I remember the last week, and I only worked there 2 weeks. That's all your boy could take, all day. Not really, not there. But I remember it was that second week, and I got an email from a movie to do extra work, and I thought it was fake, and it was like for Neighbors 2, and they were like, we want you to be a frat guy, and I was like, all right, this is my sign. This is it. This is my calling. So I was like, here we go. So went up to my manager. I was like, hey man, I gotta tell you something. And he was like, what's going on? He was an older man, and I told him, and he was like, put his hand on my shoulder. This is such like a movie thing. But he just was like, I just want you to know that this job will always be here. But opportunities, they come and they go. So you go ahead and you go do it. And I was like, all right, there it is. I'm going after it. It was so classical, but that's how he said it. And I was like, man, like that was easy. I was expecting him to be like, man, if you don't get, get back over there. Like, but yeah, so after that, I never looked back. And yeah, there were times where I didn't need that job again, but I was like, hey man, I'm about to struggle and make this thing work. So
hard labor's no joke, dude. Hard labor is no joke. I respect anybody that does a physical labor job consistently every single day, because that shit is no joke.
Yeah, that's very, I mean, it's hard on your body, and it's, yeah.
My family, my brother, my dad, my uncles, my grandpa, like they were all physical labor jobs. Grandpa worked at like a paper mill. My dad was a construction worker. My brother is a construction worker.
The construction work, man, that's where it gets you. That's actually one of my close friends, man, he was doing that. And especially if you're somewhere where it's really hot, I mean, it's brutal. Like, I mean, like sometimes like if you like at a house and you go out and get the mail and it's hot and you're like, ooh, I want to get back in the house. And just imagine, working out there. Like,
yeah, imagine carrying a 70-pound bundle of shingles up a ladder. You know what I mean? And then having to rip off the old shingles while it's like 90 degrees outside, but on those shingles it's like 140, and then like they're like this tar substance, so like when they get hot they like melt and they're burning you, and you're crouched on your knees on a roof trying to rip off of these shingles with a hammer, dude. And then you've got to pound in new shingles, dude. Oh man.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Man, talk about the grind. Yeah.
That's why I'll never complain about this gig.
No, not at all.
Never complained about wrestling. Yeah. Never complained about football. Never complained about having to work out, because like I saw other people having to do other things, and to me that just seemed way harder than this.
I mean, that's, man, like, as bad as that sounds, but it's kind of like when you take in basically like why we do all these things, why I acted that way, and why I made sure I made those decisions so I don't have to do that. You know, it's like, yeah, there was like a little second of my life where I was having to do that stuff a little bit, but it was like, whew, I got past it because of my mindset. And it's like, no, like, that's not for me. And it's like, if it ain't for you, you better figure something out, because you're going to go right back there or you're going to be broke. And it's like, all right, got to figure it out. And there's people that will do what they got to do to find it, and there's people that don't. And, you know,
there's one of the things that, you know, because people always ask me, like, how do I stay so driven and motivated all the time? And for me, it's just like, you know, this could be a multifaceted question, but one of the main reasons or things that always keeps me driven and focused is not so much that I know what I'm going towards, but I know what I'm running from. I know what hell looks like. I know what chaos is, you know, like I know what the darkness is, you know, like I came up in that. I've seen grown men be broken down by their circumstances, and I've seen ugly, ugly life, and I grew up in that. And for me, that was just like, for whatever reason, I was very fortunate at a very young age to kind of have a vision in my head of like, knowing that I didn't want this and I wanted something better for myself. Like I wanted to be more than what I am now or what people are around me now. And I knew that I never wanted to go back there because I knew how terrible that was, you know? So it was just like, yo, I know what I'm running from. So it makes it real easy to run towards something, you know? And I've seen regret in grown men, you know, like another thing that's been a very motivating factor is like talking to grown-ass men, 40-year-olds, 60 years old, and telling them about my passions and my dreams that I'm like going after, and like them being encouraging of it, like, you know, them telling you to go after and pursue those things, and their work's always going to be there. But like when you look them in the eyes and they're telling you those things, they're telling you those things because they have regret. Yeah. Because they didn't go after those things, and you can see it in a man's eyes. And I remember when I saw that for the very first time, and it was somebody that I loved dearly, you know, and I saw, you know, when they were telling me these things about going after these things, I saw that what they were really doing was telling, like, it was what they would have told their younger self if they could go back in time. And I was just like, I saw that regret in their eyes. And like, one of the things that motivates me more than ever is like, I don't want to be 60 years old filled with regret. No. I'd rather be 60 years old, broken down, burned out from all of the escapades that I've ever gone in my life, and knowing that I poured everything out. I emptied my gas tank. Yeah. Now, whether I get and obtain those goals, you know, I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but I promise you, I'm going to kill myself in the process. Yeah. I'm going to pour it all out, you know what I mean? And like, you're going to have to kill me to keep me from getting what it is that I want to get. Right. So
that's a great way you put that. I like that a lot, especially, you know, you don't really know what your future is. You can have a plan, but I mean, you don't really know what it is, but you can know what you're running from. Like, you 100% can know what that is. So that's a cool way to look at that. And if you think about it, you're still moving forward because you're running from that. You know what I mean? And that's not a, you know, usually people are like, well, don't run from problems, but it's like, no, it's something I've, you know, overcome and I've learned from. And it's like, that's why I'm, you know, I know what could happen. So that's really cool. I never really thought about it that way. That's a really good way to look at it.
It's kept me going, man. Yeah. I try to, you know, I've tried to learn from as many people as I can, which they say everybody you ever encounter has something they can teach you. You just kind of have to have your eyes open and your ears open, and you got to just like listen to people, you know?
Yeah, and find it.
And some things are bigger than others that you get and take from other people, but there's something to be learned from everybody. And I try to, you know, a lot of these old timers, I was fortunate enough when I was younger to listen to most of these old timers, right? But you know how it is when you're younger. Sometimes you don't even know what you don't know at a certain point, right? Yeah. And there comes a point in everybody's life where that spark in the dark happens, and you realize that you don't know shit.
No.
And like that's one of the most powerful moments in a man or a woman's life. And once I was, like I said, I was able to always learn and take from like old timers or like listen to them, you know?
Right.
And for whatever reason, I was just like, well, I can learn from them. You know, they got to be telling me this for a reason. And some of it sunk in and some of it didn't. And some of it was in there, but I didn't listen to it. And then years later, I was like, oh, that's what they meant. Or, you know what I mean? Like it was there. So it was just like, I try to learn from everybody. And usually, you know, there's a reason why you respect your elders. You know, they've lived X amount of time. They've been on this planet. You know, they've experienced and seen things. So, you know, they have valuable perspective just based on time. They've seen things, you know, they're able to take a step back even further than you are and see things and experience things that maybe you don't know. So I think it's important to like listen to people. Yeah. Now you got to be careful who you're listening to. You know, not everybody deserves to be listening to because there's certain people, you know, you are the company that you keep.
Right.
You know, so you do got to be careful there. But I think whether a person is someone that you aspire to be like or you admire, you can learn something from them.
Absolutely.
You know, even if it's something as simple as just looking them in the eyes and listening to them and seeing that the advice they're giving you is advice that they wish they could have gave them their younger selves, and seeing that regret in there. You know what I mean? Like that was a very powerful moment for me, is to see that regret in that person's eyes as they were telling me to pursue my dreams.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that, man. I carry that with me forever.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's been a great, dude. We're already like almost like 2 hours deep into this. You got anything you want to plug right now? Social media, where can we find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at Austin Theory. I usually just tell everybody my exact Instagram name, but if you just type in Austin Theory, it's the only one that's verified.
Blue check.
Yeah, but it is on Instagram. It is Austin_Theory, and on Twitter it's Austin Theory 1. And those are just the main two that I use. I don't try to get into anything else. Like, haven't got into the TikTok thing yet. But yeah, Instagram and Twitter. Those two are definitely my top two.
I saw you were doing cameo shout outs as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, I do cameos. If people don't know what those are just shout outs where basically if there's anything you want me to say to you, if you've been wanting me to say hi to you, whether it's you personally, if you're a fan, or you know, maybe you know somebody that's a fan, it'd be a cool gift to get me to, you know, say something to them. And it can be anything you want. That's what a cameo's for. And literally I always post those constantly on my Instagram stories, and all you got to do is swipe up and it'll take you right there. I feel like I say swipe up like it's just part of my normal vocabulary.
Swipe up.
Just swipe up.
I feel like the majority of people understand what swipe up means.
Yeah, yeah. So basically you just go on there and, you know, you just swipe up.
So you get a little personal shout out from Austin Theory.
That's it, yeah.
A little well wishes, birthday wishes, get well soon.
You know? And a lot of people, too, they use it for like their podcasts. They have me, they write me a specific message, you know, and they ask me to say the specific message, like, you know, hey, this is WWE superstar Austin Theory, and, you know, you're watching this, you're watching that, like whatever it is, regardless. And it's just a cool introduction to something. But yeah, it's just whatever you want, like whatever you want. I'll just do them all day.
All day.
All day.
All day.
That's what I do all day now in quarantine, is just cameos. Lift weights and do cameos.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, man. So for anybody out there, if you're not already keeping your eyes on my man Austin Theory, keep your eyes. Young phenom on the rise. You can find him on Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. USA Network NXT. Then you can also find him Monday nights, 8 p.m. Monday Night Raw on the USA Network. This boy's all over the place, dude. Syndicated TV, social media, Cammy, you name it. This boy's everywhere. I can't wait to see what's going to be coming down the pipeline for you, dude. It was a pleasure to have you on the drop, and looking forward to the next time we're getting together. Hopefully we're clanging and banging soon.
Yeah, man. We might have to do one of these in the gym.
Dude, we should definitely do a little, we'll do something for, we'll do a workout video together, and we'll put it on YouTube.
That'd be sick.
Do a sick little something. Then maybe we'll sit down afterwards, eat a meal, and bullshit about whatever.
Well, that's it. Then we got it. We know what we're doing now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, my man. I appreciate you.
No problem, man. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Let's get up out of here.
They ready for the drop. They ready for the drop.